Hello everyone, welcome back to Naomi's Bookshelf. I decided that in honor of middle grade March and just, following a theme, I will be putting out a lot of middle grade content, books that I loved as a child or things that I did as a child. So we are going to be doing the childhood book tag. I recently saw it on Alyssa's shelves, and like several months ago I saw it on Books and Lala's channel. However, I did not even consider doing it until I saw it on Alyssa's shelves, and I thought, that's a great one for middle grade March. It was created by Rose Ramble, so I'll link everyone down below that I just mentioned. And I'm just going to jump straight into these questions. They're really fun, and I think it's great to look back on childhood memories of reading. The first question is there a book that you didn't like the first time you read it, but you enjoyed it the second time? And I don't think so. I definitely have very particular taste, and at least when it came to being a child, when it comes to books about animals and things, I was very particular and very focused. I do have an answer that was like when my teen years, when I read Shakespeare for the first time. I was not a massive fan, and now I am not complete and utter fan, but I am definitely enjoying his work regularly now. So that's maybe something from when I was a young teen, or like 13, 14 years old. But I definitely remember one book that everyone loved as a child, and I tried getting into it so often and I couldn't. That was Charlotte's Web. Couldn't stand it. Well, I tried it. I owned 3 copies of it at one time. Never really got into it, and I read it as an adult and still thought it wasn't worth the hype. So that's one thing where I just didn't like it, and I pretty much knew my taste then. And I can tell you that one's probably based on the fact that animals talk, and I don't like talking animals in books. I don't know why, same thing for movies. So the next question is, what childhood books do you still have or wouldn't you wish you had kept if you don't have any? Now, for this one, I have a few books that I'm going to show you, but this is one that has like the most memories for me, at least hearing the stories of it, because my parents would read this to me when I was really little, and I learned to talk from this book, not necessarily all of it, but this definitely made it interesting because that was the Bee book by the Berensteins, or the Berensteins Bee book. My dad would read this aloud to me all the time when I was really little, like under 2. And whenever we got to this page about the bananas, I'd go, blah, blah, blah. I loved this page with all the bananas. This is actually the book from my childhood. My sister's name is in it. It's gone through many, many years, and I adore this for all of the warm memories of hearing my dad read this aloud to me. Another couple I just want to highlight is this one. This is 882 and a half amazing fact answers to your questions about the Titanic. It's a lot, it's not that long of a book, but it's all labeled in like different questions, and the reason the number's in the title is because that's how long the ship was in feet, I believe. So it's just such a fun book, and I would study this every day, I felt like, and I'd get together with my friend and we'd quiz each other on this book. We'd quiz each other on the answers and what happened to certain people and who did this and what was that. We were a little obsessive. So that's where my love of history definitely showed itself as a child. And another one is this one. It's the Osborne books, and especially all of their solve pages or books where you'd have to find the different things in the books, all the little mysteries. It's kind of like I Spy, but a lot more in depth, and I really loved these books too. The next question is, were there any popular books or book series that you'd never read as a child? And I think that's got to be Harry Potter. I never read Harry Potter as a child. I only read it as an adult. My parents did not want us reading it when we were kids, which I understand why. But then when I was an adult, I decided that it was time for me to test the waters myself and look at them through an adult lens. And I really enjoyed them, but I never read them as a kid. The next question is, what did you mostly read as a child? I definitely read a lot of historical fiction, a lot of mysteries, and you'll see those in a couple more videos coming up of my favorite books from my childhood, where I'm showing you books that I loved when I was a kid. So there's a historical fiction one that just came out on Sunday, and then a mysteries one which will be coming out next week. So those kind of things which I really loved. I also really enjoyed classics to a certain extent. I don't know, I didn't have very specific taste, but I also had kind of specific taste, if you know what I mean. I would read some fantasy, but not really. I mostly stuck to historical and mysteries and nonfiction. I really did enjoy nonfiction as a child, and I still love it to this day. The next question is, what are some popular children's books from when you were a child that were in your country? And I'm gonna go with Anne of Green Gables for the Canadian aspect. This is definitely super popular. It's always been popular. I don't think it will ever die in popularity because it just hits with every child that I've ever met has always attached herself to Anne in some way or shape or form. So definitely maybe a go-to Canadian answer, but my Canadian answer. The next question is, what reading habits have you brought through from your childhood? And I want to mention one that I did in spite of me not carrying it through because I think it's just so weird, is I would always read the last page first in a book because I would want to know who I should invest my time and my care in. So I would go to the last page, read it, and then I would go to the beginning and start knowing who I should love and care about and who I should really not give a whiff about, which is an interesting habit. But I don't do that one anymore, unless I really don't care about the book, and then I'll just go to the end and skip the last 200 pages or so. Now, in regards to habits I did carry on, I am awful at using bookmarks. I don't know why, and I'll still do this to this day, where I don't remember to buy a bookmark, or not buy a bookmark, I have too many to use a bookmark. And sometimes I'll use receipts or things like that, which makes my bookmarks useless, but I think they're pretty. But sometimes, and especially as a child I would do this, I had a very mathematical brain, I still do. So I would look at a book, and if, say, the book had the number, I ended on page 224 in a book, I would look at the book and I'd be like, 2 plus 2 equals 4, so that's my page number I'm on. And then I could remember that to like the next couple of days, be like 2 plus 2 equals 4, so I'm on page 224. I was very mathematical, I was very weird. It helped me remember my pages and I didn't need a bookmark. But I would do that with almost any page number. I could find something, whether it be 314, or not 314, but like 310, I could be 3 sisters, 1 brother, 0 dogs. Something like that. I could figure anything out with a number, and I definitely loved putting the numbers into word problems, which is just, I think, really weird too. But I still do it sometimes where I remember the number page I'm on in spite of you not using a bookmark. The next question is, how did you decide what to read? I would just pick up what I wanted. I was a mood reader. I still am a bit of a mood reader. I like having a working TBR, but I like a working TBR that's really big so I can mood read myself my way through that list. Now, in regards to what I would read, I would tend to pick up off my bookshelves, or I'd go to the library and just pick up a bunch of books that looked interesting to me, and I'd read them very quickly. It would take me typically about under an hour to read a 100-page, not 100-page book, but 75-page book. So I would read a lot as a child, and I would just fly through them. And if I was reading a series that I loved, like the Dear Canada books, I would just fly through those, and I would read the next one and the next one and the next one. So the last question I kind of already answered is, where did you get your books? I got a lot of my books from the library. I was homeschooled, and so I would go to the library every Wednesday. I would bring in a stack of books. I would typically take out the max I could, or like 15 plus. I'd bring them in, return them, and then I'd take out new 15, take them out, read them during the week, and then go back every Wednesday and do that. I think the librarians kind of got sick of me because I would just do this so much, and I was just constantly at the library on Wednesdays, you know, around 2:30-ish. But it was just so much fun to go to the library and really browse, and I still do that all the time. I love browsing in libraries. I love just looking at what they have available and finding something new on the shelves, which I never thought I could pick up. I also would go to used bookstores. I rarely bought new books when I was a child, and that's something I am not so great at anymore, but I am pretty good at. I feel like I like to try to look out used bookstores before I go to brand new stores, unless it's a brand new release, which I really want to support the author. So all of those things I did as a kid, and I really enjoyed them, and I've carried a lot of them through actually to adulthood, which is pretty nice to see. So that was the childhood book tag. I will tag anyone who wants to do this, and let me know what your childhood thoughts were about books. Please let me know down below, what was the favorite childhood book of yours that just always reminds you of a good, happy moment? I'd love to hear from you down below. Please subscribe if you'd like to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with another video. Bye for now.